Now, do not understand the video that is playing as just words. This is a slow, deep, and deliberately crafted mental journey. So while reading or listening, do not run anywhere, because this is the moment when the outer noise of the mind begins to quiet down and the inner door opens on its own. And the moment it opens, you will feel that this script is not reading you, but you are entering into the script itself. And today the theme is 5 types of people chosen by God. But pay close attention. This is not an ordinary list. It is an identity, a mirror. And as the words move forward, your mind will naturally begin to ask, am I one of them? And that question is the key to this entire journey. Because when God chooses someone, He does not increase the noise in their life. He takes away their peace so that the soul can awaken. And the first type is those whose lives look normal from the outside, but inside there is a strange restlessness constantly moving, as if everything is present, yet something is missing, as if they are smiling, but their heart is somewhere else, as if while staring at the ceiling at night, a question suddenly rises, what is my real purpose? And this question keeps returning, uninvited, unanswered, and the mind tries to suppress it with logic. But the body knows this is not ordinary anxiety. This is the first sign of being chosen. Because those whom God chooses, He does not let them sleep in comfort. He wakes them through questions. And if you feel that you always think deeply, search for meaning in small things, sense the emotions hidden behind people's words, then understand this is not a habit, it is training, because such people are chosen first, those who remain inwardly alone even while living in the crowd. And now imagine as if your mind is in a room where the light is slowly dimming, outside sounds are becoming blurred, and in front of you there is only one door that says, "Come inside," and you move forward without fear because the soul recognizes. And the second type are those whose lives experience repeated breakage. But the strange thing is that every break does not make them weaker, it makes them more sensitive and deeper. Like betrayal in relationships, obstacles in career, separation from family. And every time it feels like everything is over, yet somewhere inside a voice rises, "Not yet." And that voice lifts them up again. And psychology says that a person who breaks and stands up again and again does not have an ordinary nervous system. They begin to process pain differently. And this is the very system God prepares for His work. Because those who are meant to touch others' pain must first pass through their own. And if you have noticed that things are repeatedly taken away from your life, but in return you gain depth, understanding, compassion, then this is not punishment, this is selection. And now feel as if your chest is becoming lighter, your breathing is slowing down, and the words are settling inside you. The third type are those whom people call different, those whose minds question things from childhood, who did not accept traditions blindly, who felt inwardly separate even while standing in the crowd, who were often told, "You think too much, you won't change, you don't fit in." But the truth is that God never chooses His messengers from the crowd. He always chooses those standing at the edges, because only they can show a new direction. And if you have always felt that you are slightly out of sync with this world, as if you think on a different frequency, this is not a flaw, it is tuning. And psychology calls this a high sensitive personality, but in spiritual language, it is the sign of an awakened soul. And now imagine as if an old radio frequency inside your mind is shifting, the noise is clearing, and a clean voice is emerging. The fourth type are those who do a lot for others, but always come last for themselves, who listen, understand, support, but cannot put words to their own pain. And such people often grow tired, emotionally, mentally, and they think perhaps they are weak, but the truth is they are the strongest, because God gives a heart that can endure and a mind that can understand. And when such people awaken, they do not just change themselves, they change the entire environment. And if you feel that people come to you and open their hearts without being asked, that even strangers connect with you, this is not coincidence, it is a sign. And now slowly look within, as if a layer is being removed. And the fifth type are those whom God chooses most quietly. These are the people who do not even know they are chosen, who simply keep doing their work honestly, without show, without noise, and these are the most powerful ones. In a positive sense, because when they realize their power, the entire direction changes. And now psychology and spirituality meet here, because when the human mind recognizes a deep truth, it cannot ignore it. And if during this entire script your attention did not drift, if you felt the words holding you, if something inside you is moving, then understand this is not just content, it is a trigger. And now in the final part, listen or read carefully, because this is the command that can change everything. Stop pausing, stop doubting yourself. Understand your experiences not as weakness, but as training. And from today, make a decision that you will not suppress your inner voice. You will follow it, even if fear arises, even if the path is not clear. Because people chosen by God do not wait, they awaken. And this moment of awakening is now, right now. And if you have felt it, then do just one thing. Get up. Take the first courageous step in your life and do not look back, because what lies ahead is your calling. Now, do not understand what comes next as a part. Understand it as the next wave of the same continuously flowing consciousness. Because once the mind begins to descend into depth, it does not stop. It keeps going, layer by layer. And right now, you are at that point where the outer world has almost blurred, and the inner voice is clearer than before. And this is the state where God speaks directly to chosen people, without words, without signs, only through experience. And if you pay attention, you will feel that this message is not teaching you something, it is reminding you of something. Because the greatest quality of chosen people is that they do not learn truth, they remember it, like an old memory suddenly awakening. And now slowly look within, because the next level has already begun. Here, God shapes those whom He does not separate from the crowd, but places within it, yet separates their consciousness from the crowd. And such people often ask themselves, why do I feel different even among everyone? Why do small things affect me so deeply? Why do I understand people's intentions before their words? And these questions are the gateway to this level. Because psychology says that a person who senses others' emotions quickly has a brain that has evolved beyond ordinary defense mechanisms. And spiritual truth says that God includes only such minds in His plan. And now imagine your mind like a calm lake. Everything appears still on the surface, but deep within, slow waves are moving, and those waves are pushing you forward. The next truth is that in the lives of chosen people, things are often delayed. Success comes late, recognition comes late, and the mind begins to compare again and again. Everyone has moved ahead. Why am I still behind? But this delay is not punishment, it is protection. Because God does not give early fruit to those who are not yet ready to hold it. And psychology calls this delayed gratification, where the mind is kept in discomfort for a long time to make it stable and deep. And if you feel that your life moves in stops and starts, understand that you are not being made fast, you are being made strong. And now notice, your breathing is slowing down on its own, because when truth enters within, the body adapts automatically. And moving forward, another identity emerges. Chosen people often try to fit into the wrong places. They make themselves smaller, remain silent, compromise because they fear breakage more than conflict. But somewhere inside, a spark always burns that says, "This is not you." And one day, that spark becomes fire. And when that fire burns, the person does not blame anyone. They simply rise and change their place. And if you remember moments in your life where you endured a lot just because you did not want to lose someone, that was not weakness. It was the patience of the soul. And now, slowly feel that this patience is transforming. It is becoming clarity. The next stage is even more subtle. Here, chosen people stop fearing loneliness. Earlier, loneliness frightened them, consumed them. But now, that same loneliness gives them clarity, because when outer voices fade, inner direction becomes clear. And psychology says that a person who does not panic in loneliness has developed a healthy inner dialogue. And in spiritual language, this is the state where the soul can hear God's whisper. And if you have noticed that you now need crowds less, superficial conversations exhaust you, and silence feels peaceful, then this is a sign that your consciousness is shifting location. And now hear the deepest truth, which very few people understand. God does not break chosen people first. He empties them first. He removes false identities, borrowed dreams, and others' expectations from within them, so that when He places something new, it is pure. And this emptiness feels very frightening, because the mind calls it failure, but the soul knows this is preparation. And if you are currently passing through a nothing phase in your life, where neither the old remains nor the new is clearly visible, do not run. This is the place where chosen people are formed. And now let this message settle within you, not like an order, but like a memory. And finally, this is not an emotional farewell. This is a direct, clear, and powerful command. Stop making yourself small. Do not hide your sensitivity. Do not run from your depth. From today, decide that you will not spend your energy in the wrong places. You will walk the path that feels peaceful from within, even if it looks frightening from the outside. Because people chosen by God do not choose safe paths. They choose true paths, and make this decision now, in this very moment. Because for one who has awakened, going back to sleep is not an option. It will not unfold like a list, nor should it feel like the beginning of a topic while reading, because the identity of those whom God chooses never begins from a beginning. It slowly emerges from within, just like in a dark room where the eyes gradually begin to see on their own. And if you are still reading up to this point, it is already a sign that your consciousness is not stuck on the surface, but is being drawn toward those depths where questions end and memories begin. Because God does not only choose those who look strong, He chooses those who are true within, and truth never makes noise. It remains quiet. And first of all, God chooses those who do not become bitter after breaking, whose lives saw betrayal, humiliation, rejection, but whose hearts did not decide, "Now I will become the same." Such people cry inwardly, endure silently, but do not return the same pain to others. And this is where God's gaze rests, because a person who does not let their wounds turn into poison can one day become medicine. And now look at your own life. Remember those moments when you were hurt, but still stopped yourself from breaking someone else's trust. And if that has happened, understand it was not coincidence, it was training. Because God chooses hearts that know how to remain gentle despite having strength. And moving forward, God also chooses those who are not afraid to ask questions, who were told since childhood, "Don't think so much, everyone accepts it, why can't you?" But whose minds cannot accept incomplete answers. And such people often begin to blame themselves, thinking perhaps something is wrong with them. But the truth is, God needs such minds that do not walk with closed eyes, because the one who seeks truth one day becomes its carrier. And if there has always been a restlessness within you, that things are not exactly as they appear, that there is something deeper in life yet to be understood, then this restlessness is not illusion. It is a calling. And now slowly let this idea settle within you, that God also chooses those who bloom late, whose lives seem slow compared to others, whose success takes time, whose identity forms late. And such people often consider themselves behind. But God does not give height in haste, because only those with deep roots can stand at height. And those whose lives take time to take shape often have the deepest roots. And if you feel that much in your life remains stuck in a not yet phase, this was not rejection, it was protection, because God also chooses those He wants to strengthen before lifting. And now notice, a subtle peace is descending within you, because when truth is recognized, the body accepts it. And moving forward, God also chooses those who learn to be alone, not because they hate people, but because they do not want to lose themselves in the crowd. And such people initially fear loneliness, consider it emptiness, but over time that same loneliness gives them clarity. And this is the state where the inner voice becomes clear. And if there has been a time in your life when you pulled back slightly from others, when superficial conversations began to feel exhausting, when silence began to feel soothing, understand this was not distance, it was preparation. Because God does not speak in crowds, He whispers in silence. And now another deep identity emerges. God also chooses those who do the right thing without recognition, who do not hunger for applause, who do good not to be seen, but because their conscience does not allow them to do wrong. And such people are often overlooked, but God's gaze rests on the unseen, because the one who does right without expecting reward is worthy of responsibility. And if you remember that many times you supported someone, carried someone's burden, helped someone without receiving credit, and still remained silent, this was not foolishness, it was a sign of selection. And slowly this understanding is deepening, that God also chooses those whose hearts fill easily, who take others' pain as their own, in whose presence people strangely open up and speak their truth. And such people often become emotionally tired because they feel too much. But this sensitivity is their greatest power, because the one who can feel is the one who can transform. And God chooses sensitive souls, not stone hearts, to change the world. And if you feel that you feel too much, this is not weakness, it is a tool. And now another layer opens. God also chooses those whose lives break repeatedly, plans fail, paths change, and the mind keeps asking, "Why me?" But every break removes something false from within them, and slowly they become lighter, truer. And this emptiness becomes the space where God places His work. And if you are currently in a phase where nothing feels